with his wonderful song, chosen for us by Doreen Ando. I like the song. Yes. These days, Mbura is seriously going far and wide to get help, and I admire him for that.
Yes, I mean, consult.
Yes,
and,
indeed.
Get someone to do the job and take the credit. That's it.
Yeah, yes, but we don't allow him to take the credit.
His initiative is worth commending.
I don't know if you heard the news. Darrell always has an update on Mbura. Apparently, Mbura has moved into a new area, and he's very excited because there are lots of white ladies living there.
Oh,
yes.
Very happy about it. Changing. I saw him in a new vehicle the other time as well.
Please.
Oh, really?
Enough of Mbura.
Oh, fine.
Let's allow the young man, my in-law, to breathe.
Your in-law. I don't know. How do you? Can you give condolences?
Let's move on.
Anyway, there's more Mbura news on Say It Right coming up in just a moment. But that was our inspirational song brought to you by Duraplast Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC pipes and water tank. Where Duraplast goes, water flows.
And let's get to our Drive Safe campaign, brought to us by John News and the Multimedia Group and supported by Toyota, superior quality, and Imperial General Assurance, solid protection. So avoid all distractions. Keep both eyes on the road and hands on the steering wheel. Be visible, drive with your lights on at night, and that's how you drive safe.
Now this is how you say it right, brought to you by Kingdom Books. At Kingdom, quality and affordability are their hallmarks.
Something must be done.
You say either, I say either.
Here's a good one. What is the English word for this sound? Did you say sucking your teeth? Or, as some people say, kissing your teeth? Well, that might be an accurate description of what I did, but there is an actual word for it. Stoops. S-T-E-U-P-S. Stoops. That's right. This is the verb used to describe the sucking sound made by many Africans and West Indians to express annoyance, irritation, frustration, or disgust. We apologize. We will bring you the full version of Say It Right. I think there was a technical issue there. Sorry about that. Okay, let's find out what's in the papers. Hello, hello, Ackah, Blay. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good, Kojo.
Excellent. All right, let's get started.
Great. So let's get into the Ghanaian Times for this morning. And at World Press Freedom Day celebration, express opinion on matters fearlessly. That's Justice Sir Dennis J. charging journalists.
It's one of my favorite judges.
Yes, I mean, he's, one time I interviewed him years ago and he advised me, he says, look, you don't know what could amount to contempt. Be careful how you comment on these issues. And he's always, willing to engage media on a lot of issues. And so I like him.
He's at the Court of Appeal now. Yeah, he was the one who gave this interesting judgment concerning the demonstrations. Demonstrations about the notice and this issue. Let my vote count alliance. And he has written this article on the New Lands Act. It's effectively a summary of the changes that the New Lands Act makes. It's one of the materials that if you don't want to go to the actual course material, when you read that article, you're good to go.
He's a fantastic man, but he's been at the Court of Appeal for a very long time now. I'm just wondering. Anyway, let me keep my thoughts to myself. He's a charged journalist to, fearlessly express their opinion on matters that promote development in the country. And he says, look, situations where media practitioners who expose wrongdoings of some members of the public are intimidated by politicians must be condemned at all levels. And government celebrates media urges greater focus on economic rights. We've not been doing very well on the World Press Freedom Index when it comes to the economic angle. We know the current condition of journalists. We know current conditions or the state of media houses and media organizations, making it very difficult for them even to sometimes engage in the kind of research that you want to engage in. Yesterday when I spoke with Suleiman Abraham, for instance, he made the point that, look, sometimes you are carrying out an investigation that will cost you thousands or sometimes close to 100,000 Ghana cedis. If you don't have the funds, you cannot do it. And look, in a part of the world, you don't have lots of avenues to actually access funds. You'd have to rely on adverts. But where are you going to get the adverts from? Sometimes it becomes very difficult for even the media to get these adverts. And even when it comes to distribution of adverts, the government would also use that as a way of, checking a thing or two.
I mean, the new way of revenue is also the digital platforms, the YouTube and the other platforms. But the challenge with those ones too is that we know the type of content that is really getting the eyeballs.
That's the problem.
It's not the type of content that would typically sit on a network that is doing investigation like Suleiman Abraham is making reference to. I mean, someone can just do a dance video. You know the Alumo Jata thing that's trending. I'm sure bro will brief you later. It's some song Alumo Jata. Yeah. It's okay. I'll show you the video afterwards.
Okay. Please,
it just has a gentleman who is dancing, a lot of leg moves, and it has a lot of views. I mean, content like that, you can't compete with it with investigations. Unfortunately, that's what people are feeding on. So
you're right.
It raises revenue issues.
And also on the front page, more than 900 Ghanaians die from prostate cancer annually. And according to the Prostate Cancer Institute, now they say that look, more than 900 Ghanaians die from prostate cancer annually, and the disease, which was contracted by an estimated 750 Ghanaians each year, kills more than other cancers in the country.
Yeah. And that's one that's exclusive to men, isn't it?
Back page, Ghana Health Service declares end of Lassa fever outbreak, and the Ghana Health Service has declared an end to the Lassa fever outbreak recorded in the country in February this year. Now, this follows the elapse of the mandatory 42-day period since the recovery of the last detected case, as stipulated by the World Health Organization, to declare the outbreak over. And 1.7 million persons unemployed in third quarter of 2022. That's according to labor statistics report. We're told that some 1.7 million Ghanaians were unemployed in the third quarter of 2022 during the annual household income and expenditure survey by the Ghana Statistical Service. And it said the unemployed population in the third quarter is out of the 11 million persons who are employed and engaged in a form of economic activity in each of the 3 quarters. And we're told that females constituted 620,000 of the unemployed population in the third quarter, and 2 out of 3 unemployed persons were females.
Interesting there. The front page of the Business Finder has this story about Ghana bagging $3.5 billion from non-traditional exports in 2022, and EcoBank launches double salary promo reloaded. New month, Africa's reliable development partner. Also on the front page. Let's do the daily guide now. Parliament considers CJ nominee Justice Gertrude Araba Isaba Saki Tokonu. Yeah, I was at the Supreme Court yesterday. She was sitting on one of the cases. One of the cases. She was part of the panel. I think they had to do with appointment of MMDCs in an acting capacity. Yeah, she was part of that panel.
That's Roxanne case.
Yes, which the courts dismissed yesterday. The other story from the GJA event, amend laws against journalists, is coming from a GJA president, and it's official. Bawumia joins NPP race. The story is on page 3. We are told that the vice president has formally announced to members of the majority caucus in parliament that he will run for the flag bearership for the New Patriotic Party towards the 2024 general elections. The meeting we are told took place on Tuesday night, where he told the lawmakers that he had come to seek their blessing for his bid to lead the governing party. According to sources, he informed the lawmakers that he had prayed and done self-introspection about his decision and came to the conclusion that MPs are a key partners if he wants to be successful in his bid. It's just the way Kojo Yankson is staring at me. Kojo, you can have your bites. But that's the story. So that's the story actually.
Yes, I mean I have some MPs actually told me yesterday that he had met the majority caucus and had expressed he had indicated to them that he was going to contest. And it's true. I mean, MPs play a lot of role. I mean, when the party is in opposition, the MPs will take care of the party, and if you have MPs supporting you or endorsing you also, it could tell the party grassroots of how accepted you are. And so it's important, that you engage members of parliament. I'm sure in the coming days you'll be engaging, other stakeholders in his quest to become flag bearer of the NPP.
In fact, a part of the story says that he has the support of over 100 majority caucus members who have openly declared their support for him. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, if you are number 2, I mean, obviously you'll be thinking you can be number 1. So it's not strange that
reminds me
he wants to contest.
It reminds me of Ali Muhammad at the time. Mm-hmm. When Ali Muhammad wanted to be flag bearer of the NPP, he said he was the chief apprentice.
Yeah.
And the others were apprentices. Now, when the boss is going, the chief apprentice takes over.
Yeah.
Okay? So if he's been chief apprentice and his boss is going, it's automatic that he should take over. And others disagreed with him. At the end of it, Ali Muhammad placed, third. I think had about 143 or 163 votes. Nana Akufo-Addo getting over 1,000 votes. Alan Chamanting about 700 votes. Arthur Kennedy getting 1 vote.
So the chief apprentice was pushed back. That's what you are saying effectively. In that instance,
different things happen.
But this particular primaries, it will be very, very competitive. I mean, so now we have Dr. Bawumia. We know there is also Alan Chamanting, very experienced politician. Then Kennedy Japon.
Yeah, I think
who, according to special prosecutor, the former special prosecutor, he said that the appointment of the chief justice was to deal with the inroads that Kennedy Japon is making in the central region.
No, I think it will be a three-horse race.
The former special prosecutor can see the matrix sometimes.
Yeah.
He sees connections that some of us may miss. But you're right. It's going to be a keen race, and I think whomever the president wants to be his successor will have an advantage over the others, because the president still has a very powerful hold over the party and its delegates.
I mean, but there are those also who you can call opposition elements within the NPP, who over the period of the president being in power, they have felt that the president, more or less, they've been sidelined, and so some of them ended up losing their primaries. There are those who have openly kicked against the president, including how he has kept Kedofurata as the finance ministry still. So it's very difficult to tell how the party, in terms of the hold, is looking now. I do not think that the president will wield a lot of influence in terms of who he backs in this particular instance. I think it is open. Maybe we didn't get a clear sense from the regional elections, the ones that were done. We didn't get a sense of how that looks directly. But I mean, if you talk to those who are in the Aran camp, they say that they got a hold in that particular instance, and so it gives them a sense of how the party is tilting.
Well, I mean, look, let me be very honest with you. In politics, everybody would claim victory, I mean, at a point in time. And the thing about delegates seeking power is that they go to both camps sometimes they move to both camps to take money, and because they know that if they come to you, give them money. So they would come up to you and take money. So that's why they say there is no art to see the mind's construction in the face. You may never know how people are thinking at any point in time. The thing is this: today in the NPP, how do people see the president? Today in the NPP, are people pleased with the president to the extent that everything the president says, it will be done? There are some people at the grassroots who still complain. And if you listen to all those who are going around, they seem to suggest to the grassroots that when we come, we'll make you better. When we come, we'll make you better. An indication that the people are actually complaining down there. They feel they've been neglected. They feel that they are used when it's time for elections and nothing happens to them. What normally happens in political circles is that sometimes the person who's most supported by the president could lose. And I say could lose. But also in this case, and both sides are actually claiming, I mean, a lot of people are claiming support of Nana Akufo-Addo, and it will be seen whether Akufo-Addo would openly say, I support
I mean, you remember the speech when Alan conceded and not allowing the second round?
Yes.
I mean, he effectively said that he'll be next. I mean, I think that's a soundbite that people from Alan's camp, if he decides to go the other way, or maybe he stays off, this is a soundbite that people will pull back and say that, look, this is what you said.
Although, I mean, I made the point the other day that it's a very interesting aspect of our politics that we actually think that it's personal property to hand over to the next person in a queue, rather than it being something that will go to the person democratically chosen by the delegates.
Oh,
and I mean, the interesting thing that I think we should all look out for, because I think you're both right, is the fact that the president's standing in his own party may have seriously slipped.
Yeah.
So, in fact, it is in the interest of every candidate to, as much as they can, distance themselves.
I mean, but one of the candidates, like Dr. Bami especially, was more or less the poster boy for government policies, and he actually still is, and we know that a lot of the conversation will center around the economy and how things are looking.
But let me just make this point: no candidate seeking to lead the NPP can distance himself from the president.
Well, I mean, you can't denounce the president.
Yeah, but
there are clever ways of distancing yourself.
You are going to campaign based on his achievements. Nana Akufo-Addo campaign on the achievements of Kufuor, and you've seen that whenever he has an opportunity, he makes reference. He nicely, in fact, he would nicely say, "Oh, this was started by J.A. Kufuor."
But it's the double-edged sword. You also fall on the negatives of the government as well.
So this is the point, because
If
you need
Kufuor's record had been like his, would he be making those nice references?
Well, let's see how it goes. But
let me quickly finish with some other stories on the front page. Quickly, another man kills lover is on page 6. Very unfortunate story, but another political story here. Joe Gatti storms Ahafo region for votes. The back page has Kudus ranked among best dribblers, and Ronaldo richer than Messi, and Mbappe is also on the back page.
Fantastic Ronaldo. The Joe Gatti, Joe Gatti is a fine gentleman, a fine gentleman. Except that, sometimes you are born within an era that it becomes difficult for you to achieve some of your ambitions.
Yeah,
and that probably could be the Joe Gatti situation. But
can use a football example. I mean, Neymar being around at the time, that's virtually Messi, Ronaldo. Yes. In fact, those two have shadowed every other person who has played within the last 15 years.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the challenge with Joe Gatti. Fantastic gentleman. I mean, but anyway. The Daily Graphic for this morning says media must cease excessive politicization, GJA on Press Freedom Day, and ensuring peace for accelerated development for our concern. That's according to President Akufo-Addo. MMDC is in acting capacity lawful. Supreme Court dismisses Dafia Mekbo's suit, and more women unemployed than men. That's according to the Statistical Service. And COVID-19 is still here. Observe protocols. That's according to Dr. James Dia, who is the Deputy Executive Director of the Christian Health Association of Ghana. And I think the Kole Klote Municipal Assembly disseals drains ahead of rainy season. And so you can see some dredging of the Kole Lagoon here. And the Daily Graphic says it is observed that some drains at Adabraka and surrounding areas have also been desilted. Also, the storm drains in Owusu, Asylum Down, and Asumdwe Park have also been cleaned with the debris collected from the site. And this is one thing that we do all the time. But the question really is that these ad hoc measures, do they solve the problem? Do they solve them? The Ministry of Works and Housing has made it very obvious that it needs money to do these things. And look, last year it continuously reminded the Minister of Finance how it needed money and said the more we delayed, the more debt would have to incur in dealing with this problem. I don't know why sometimes it becomes very difficult for us to do some of these things that would go a long way in helping the citizenry. But the Crusading Guide, a new Crusading Guide, says GEPA reports 6% growth in non-traditional sport earnings. Freedom of expression, a driver for human rights for Ghana's development, said in his J. And don't impose Osaidudu on us. Sechikrom Royals caution assembly. YENIC launch a new module to train and employ 6,000 youth as insurance agents. Jail Atuesian for non-payment of money to the State Attorney General. And Bawumia confirms ambition to contest NPP primaries, also on the front page of the new Crusading Guide. Let's get into the online news review.
Yeah, brought to us by Zenith Bank, in your best interest, and Goyle Good Energy.
And Gol, your oil marketing company of choice, keeps making life so convenient for you. Gol now accepts Momo for all fuel purchases. Just remember to Momo it at Gol. And that's not all. You can also use your bank card. That is all bank cards to buy fuel at Gol. Drive to the nearest Gol station now. Buy your fuel. Pay by Momo bank card or Gol Go card. Visit Gol social media platforms. Facebook, Gol.official. Instagram, Gol_GH. And on Twitter, Gol_official. For more information on the service stations, you can conveniently use Momo. Goil, good energy, Goil. Yeah, yeah, dear.
All right, myjoyonline.com has this as its top story. Stop charging for services covered by NHIS. Health Minister cautions service providers. I don't think it's been much more than a week since the Health Minister himself declared that he doesn't use the NHIS.
Yeah, he said he had tried and he was asked to pay for the services. I mean, but the issue is not because the service providers are charging, it's because they are also not receiving the money from government.
That is exactly
Yeah,
it.
that's what is accounting for.
Right,
their
but he's
refusal to-
telling them to stop charging. I don't know how you can... These are private businesses. I really don't know the legality of government instructing a private business to operate at a loss, which is essentially what is happening here.
Yeah.
These businesses, their only customer is the government. Okay, so if they are providing medication, drugs, what's it called, consultancy, whatever service, healthcare service, which is supposed to be paid for by the NHIA, and the payment is not made, but the government is ordering them to keep providing the service, they are essentially ordering them to collapse their businesses.
Yeah,
Potentially collapse their businesses. What kind of order is that, and is it lawful?
very problematic.
All right. CityNewsroom.com has this committee tasked to probe cause of lawsuits against 37 military hospital. It's also in the health sector. I'm not done yet. Ablakwa vows to drop more bombshells on the National Cathedral. All right. And on CNN this morning, Ukrainian air defenses repelled most intense attack on Kiev this year, according to the military. All right, time for the BBC News, brought to us by